Very good morning, dear students. The reason I've opened this contents page is because I just want to tell you all what I will be doing, what I will be omitting, and what is omitted even from the board side. If you see the first part, we have completed past, present, future. The odd one in I have omitted. In times of silver rain completed, the king's choice completed, seeing eyes, helping hands completed, and collage I've given you as an assignment. Now coming to the second unit. The first lesson from a railway carriage, I have completed it. The second lesson, the souvenir, I am omitting it. I am not going to do it. Abdul becomes a courtier, I have completed. How do the little busy bee, I have completed. Learn yoga from animals is only for your practicals. So it's not going to be there for your exam. Okay. So you're only supposed to do reading of it and practice the yoga from that. The next one, chasing the sea monster, is omitted from the side of the board. Now, that leaves the last lesson, the great scientist, which I will be doing today. Okay, so I will be doing the last lesson, great scientist, and only after that I will be doing grammar. Once I finish with grammar, then we will do the reading of learn yoga from animals if there is time. Otherwise, you can do it at home. Okay, clear? Okay, now let's just open page 49. Lesson 2.7, Great Scientists, and keep your pencils ready with you all, please. Okay, let's begin. Great scientists are persevering and never deterred by difficulties. Persevering are ones who keep on trying again and again, don't give up easily. And never deterred means discouraged. So when they are faced with difficulties, they do not get discouraged. In fact, they keep on trying harder. Now, this whole lesson is about the great scientist Michael Faraday. Michael Faraday is regarded as one of the most distinguished scientists. Distinguished means well-known, famous, and inventors of modern times. And his work on electricity is still a subject of study in the form of Faraday's law. But few know his inspirational life story, which is all about courage and fighting against the odds. Michael Faraday was born into a poverty-stricken family in a dirty London suburb. So he was a British citizen and he was born in a poor family. Poverty-stricken means absolutely very, very poor. He suffered from a speech defect as a child. He would pronounce rabbit as wabbit. He could not even say his own name and would call himself Faraday. Other children laughed at him and teachers did not help him either. When he was 12, his mother was forced to take him out of school, thus putting an end to his formal education. Formal means in olden days they even had tutors or home teaching where teachers came at home and they got education. They only went and appeared for their exams. Clear? That was not formal education, that is private education. Whereas formal education is where when you go to an institution to learn, like you go to a school, you go to a college, you go to a university and get your degrees. Okay, that's called formal education. So he couldn't go to school anymore. At 13, however, he started working with a bookbinder, binding hundreds of books during the day and staying up all night to read them. Reading thus became his obsession. Obsession means something that you think of, that's the only thing you will think of, and that's the only thing you will do day and in and day out. In the day and at the night, that was the only thing that he would do, that is reading books. One day he came across a book on electricity, which had been sent to his master for binding. He started reading it and was completely hooked. Completely hooked means when you take drugs, you cannot stay without it. You have to continue taking drugs. You just get addicted to it. So hooked means addicted. Yes, so he was completely hooked to reading. Drugs was an example. Okay, like people who smoke, people who drink. Once they started, that forms a habit. They cannot stop. That was his first introduction to the subject of electricity, which soon became a lifelong fascination. So he was fascinated by electricity throughout his life. Yes, He liked it. Fascination means something that he was taken up by. Faraday was still poor at 21. Once a friend gave him a free ticket to a public lecture and demonstration by the renowned means well known or famous, chemist Humphrey Davy at London's Royal Institution. Davy's work on chemicals and electrical lighting was a subject of conversation among the scientists of that age. 70 years later, across the Atlantic Ocean in the USA, the same work enabled Thomas Edison to produce the first consistent light bulb. So, before this, many people had tried to produce electricity. They could produce it, but as long as the wire touched or whatever, there was power. The moment you it and that was power was there only for a moment. It wasn't lasting, like as you just switch on the put the switch on and you have light in the form of a bulb or a tube light or a fan working for hours together. That wasn't happening. Well, as Thomas Edison was the first one who could really make the light bulb work for a long time on electricity. That day in 1812, Faraday was spellbound by Davy's lectures. Spellbound means sort of almost hypnotized. He kept taking notes about the mysterious force of electric fluid. He was so engrossed in the lecture that he forgot to applaud with the rest of the crowd. So he was so engrossed in taking the notes and listening. Yes, that he, when everyone clapped, he forgot to even clap. He was just thinking about it. Only thing he was thinking about and reflecting on was what was being spoken about or what had been spoken about. When he went back, his notes were so comprehensive. Comprehensive means in detail, that he bound them into a book, meaning to gift it to Davy someday. Faraday decided that day that he didn't just want to sell books, he wanted to be a great scientist, good enough to write his own books. Davy became his role model. But there was a problem. He did not have the social status, money, or the education to pursue science. So you can become a scientist only if you have really studied, because you have to have the basic knowledge where the he did not have it. Yes, Faraday did not have that. Remember he was forced to leave school. So and he didn't have the money to even go back to school now or learn from it. And he was not the son of a rich man that all this will be, forgotten or kept aside and he will be accepted. No. Faraday thought it would be wonderful if Davy became his mentor. Mentor is someone who teaches you, guides you when you are doing your research, you're doing your studies. But Davy did not agree initially. Initially means in the beginning. Faraday was not dejected. Not dejected means not sad, not depressed. He just kept trying. Destiny had a strange plan in store for him. Destiny means fate. What is in Naseeb, in Hindi. A few years later, a chemical explosion happened inside Davy's lab and he was temporarily blinded. So, how did destiny help him? It just happened. They are scientists dealing with chemicals. Because of an explosion, he lost his eyesight for some time. He couldn't do his work. So, he needed an assistant. So, who could he have thought of? Yes, he thought of Faraday. He now needed an assistant with an excellent memory to help him. He was reminded of Faraday and decided to hire him as a secretary. Davy never believed Faraday could do anything in the field of science going by his social status and education. So he didn't hire him or give him the job because he thought he was capable. He hired him because he knew he had a good memory. Yes, so that's what he needed. He just thought, I will tell him what to do and he will be able to do and understand it well and do it properly. Or even if I tell him to write down the notes, he will be able to do it properly. He therefore dismissed Faraday's inspirations and advised him to stick to bookbinding. So even when was very happy, thinking that when I join him, I will be able to learn and educate myself. But he told Faraday, you are a useless fellow, you cannot do anything. You cannot educate yourself and learn anything because you do not have the education nor the social status, the position in society. But Faraday was relentless. Relentless means did not give up, kept on trying. He worked day and night and learnt as much as he could about Davy's experiments. Soon Faraday became indispensable to Davy and was promoted to his lab assistants. Become indispensable means Faraday could not stay without him. He needed him for everything. Yes, you cannot stay like your parents are indispensable to you. You cannot live your life without your parents. This was his first step towards a scientific career. Though much of his job now was cleaning labs, at least he got to see some of Davy's leading experiments. So you see, most of his work over there was nothing great. He didn't have great work to do, but he just had to clean the lab. But since he was there in the lab all the time, he could watch Davy performing his experiments. And remember, he was very interested, so he always learned from what he watched. Even then, Davy did not have much hope for Faraday. Then Faraday got another chance to prove himself. One day, Davy tried to recreate a famous electromagnetism experiment with fellow chemist William Wollaston, exploring why, when an electric current is applied to a wire, it causes that wire to behave like a magnet. So here, electricity and magnets combine together, electromagnetism. Obviously, the forces were connected, but nobody had figured out how to make it happen continuously. Davy believed that if he could find out why it happened and control it, there could be many practical applications of the force. But he was unable to figure it out and was frustrated. He then teased Faraday, asking him to try his hand at it after he was done cleaning the lab. So he purposely teased him, saying, "Come on, I cannot do it. Let me see. You think you have the capability of being a great scientist? So why don't you try doing this?" Within a few days, Faraday solved the problem. In fact, he went further, and the result was the first induction motor which converted electrical current into continuous mechanical motion. So, here you see Faraday worked, when he got a chance, he did not let it go. He tried his best and used his brains and the little knowledge that he had, but he was successful in building the first induction motor and which converted electricity into magnetic power. Okay, so this is your first part of the lesson. We will do the second part tomorrow. I will also give you all homework. So please see that you'll do the homework. Thank you, and in case you have any doubt, you can message me. But please do listen to the video and read the lesson at least twice. Thank you.